Welcome to Horizon TV. My name is Rich Binsaka. I'm the editorial director of Pro Builder Media and SGC Horizon. And we're talking today with Mark Wolf, who is the founder and CEO of AHV Communities. And they've been involved in the built for rent, single family built to rent, whatever you want to call it, in that market for a long time. And they have offices based in San Antonio, but also in Southern California and Denver. So Mark, welcome to the program. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for the invite. Happy to be here.
Great. So I guess the first question, just to kind of set the stage, is tell us a little bit about the history of AHV Communities and your involvement in history in the built for rent segment.
We started back in 2012 with the idea based on what we were seeing going on with the aggregators, the Blackstones and the Colonies of the world before they all merged, American Homes for Rent. And we kind of saw the model as very intriguing and obviously a great cash flow model. But the one thing that we always questioned was how efficiently you could operate that platform, right? 50,000 houses in 50,000 different locations. And, the single family model was just so disconnected. And we kind of saw through some just insights into the operational ratios of these, kind of platforms and figured there was a better mousetrap. And we said, what if we built neighborhoods, entire contiguous cohesive neighborhoods of brand new homes, which were contrary to what was being bought in large, quantity from the banks and all the tapes during the downturn. They would tend to be older homes. So we said we could build brand new. We could build contiguous and cohesive. We could manage it and maintain it like an apartment. We could, manage it and amenitize it like an apartment. Sound like that was a really no-lose situation. Through lots of hard work, bumping and grinding and, starts and stops, 8 years later, we proved to be onto something fantastic. And now the world can't get enough of, these quote unquote single family built to rent communities.
From a building standpoint, do you manage and oversee all the production, or do you hire that out? How does that work for you?
Yeah, so through our journey, through our 8 years of being in the trenches, we learned that the most important component was really being able to deliver your product. We had tried to partner with home builders. We had tried to hire GCs. And the problem is you just don't have a complete alignment of interest. And so we became our own home builder after some trials and tribulations of building our first handful of communities. We actually pivoted in 2016 and became really our own builder. So since then, we're a home builder. We're really an apartment company masquerading as a single family home builder. That's the reality. The only part of our business that's single family is our unit, our widget. Everything else is really very apartment-esque.
So how is your business looking as we hopefully come out of COVID?
2021 couldn't be, any more of a surprise to us than anybody else. We've acquired a handful of sites. We're closing another 8 deals by year end. We'll go from 1,600 units in the queue in development to about 3,000. We just closed a huge deal here in Southern California. We've been working on for over 2.5 years. We just closed that last week. It's going to be 237, give or take, standalone detached homes out in Temecula, right on Winchester Road and the 15 freeway. It's a main and main location, and you'll hear me talk a lot about location. But this is a prime grade A location, freeway access, right next to the Temecula Promenade, right next to schools, just a fantastic infill piece of dirt. We could easily have sold the dirt for a nice pop, but we want to build a multi-cycle generational type asset, unique of its kind. This is going to be $100+ million, construction deal. So you're talking about a pretty unique single family community.
Okay, and so you've got this model, and like you said, 8 years later, you're highly successful with it, and others are coming into the market saying, "Hey, AHV did a great job. That's a great model. Let's get into it." You see kind of some serious issues with big builders and traditional capital sources kind of entering this fray. What issues are you talking about? What's inherent to what they're doing that's a little risky or scary?
Yeah, I mean, I think, for us, I think everyone's looked at from the outside in, seeing what we do. They tour our communities, they talk to our management company, and they just assume, oh, this is easy, we can do this. There's a lot that goes into this model. For us, it's second nature, but a home builder is a home builder. They operate with very different principles, very different targeting of locations and sites. Their model and mousetrap's a little bit different. It's easy to go out and say, I'm going to go build a bunch of houses and they're going to rent up. Sure, at the hottest point in the market and supply constrained areas and other things line up, that might work. But when you normalize the world, when things go back to normal, which they will, when there's a blip in the cycle, which there will be, how do those assets perform, and ultimately who's holding the bag? So my concern with the builders is they're not giving away their prime land. They're using secondary and tertiary locations as an opportunity to take place to get excess inventory off quickly, book those profits. I mean, they're all doing very well. Their stocks are through the roof. The demand is obviously very pent up, very low cost of capital. And so, there's all these, what we would call secondary and tertiary locations that are the ones that are being primarily developed by the home builders. We've yet to see a Class A location as we would define it. Proximity to job centers and not an Amazon distribution center, right? Proximity to entertainment, retail, proximity to good schools, options for good schools. 20 to 30 minutes to any downtown, not 45 minutes to an hour, best case scenario. And those are these outer circles, right? These drive to qualify locations may work in the single family for sale model, and they might work in a really heated rental market, but do they have the ability to stand the test of time? Most of these home builders are not building these assets to hold. They're building them for a trade. We're building a business for a hold. My goal is to hold these communities 20 years if I can. Now the capital partners dictate that, but more or less what we're looking at is 15, 20-year holds. The home builders and people getting into the business and the build for rent is really just building it, selling it, leasing it up, getting rid of it. Some of these companies are selling them at C of O. And so I think that, someone's gonna get caught holding the bag, and the question is who? Are they retail investors? Is it a fund? It just depends. And so it may work out just fine. I could be completely wrong, but in real estate, last time I checked, and if you really boil it down to the basics, real estate's three principles: location, 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 right? You can't fix bad location.
Now, what about institutional investors and other sources of capital that is pouring money into this segment?
The capital partners that are getting into this business, they're just going out and trying to directly, right? They're eliminating the operating partner. That's why I make a joke: the death of the operating partner. It could be a play, a movie, or a white paper. But these funds now are so smart, purportedly, because they can raise all this money, and they're going out and basically going direct to home builders. And I've had conversations with a number of these guys who I won't say, but they're literally saying, "Oh yeah, we're partnering with this home builder," and I go, "What do they know about rental?" "Oh, well, look, if they don't perform, we'll just take it back and we'll operate it," as if it's that easy, right? So that's my concern. There's a lot of people rushing into this head first. We're maturing at an exponential rate as an industry, as a subset of multifamily. This is absolutely a hockey stick of market maturation. I believe there's a lot of room for what we do and for competitors. So it's not about that. It's about, what is the genuine intent of the platform that's going out there? Are you building a business? Are you adding value to the residential sector? Or are you just building a trade? Are you just getting in to make money and getting out? Because that's the worst kind of project, because chances are you're going to be building a lower quality product. You're not concerned about how it performs in 5, 7, or 10 years. Now you're the scourge, that lives next door, and look at this community over here. It's not taken care of, and it's a blight on our neighborhood, and that's a problem too.
When we were talking before the interview, you mentioned kind of the potential for a real estate bubble from this particular segment. And I'm curious if you can kind of define that and then talk about kind of the ramifications of that. That's a scary word for builders and for the economy in general, is a real estate bubble. And I just kind of want to get your take on that in particular, and what you think it might come of it.
Yeah, there's such a rush to put out product and develop these communities and buy houses for rent, that when you have that much money chasing such a new product, inevitably you're going to have issues and challenges. Locations are going to be the first to really suffer as the market normalizes. Does the rent appreciation then flatten? Does it decline? And if it declines, you've got a problem. Most people don't underwrite declines in their pro formas. In fact, I've been in this business now 1995, so 26 years. My first job, my first boss told me, he says, "You'll never see a pro forma that has negative rent, negative growth." It's held true. 26 years later, I've never seen one. But inevitably it could happen, right? You're in a market that has absolutely overheated. We're seeing 15, 18% rent growth on some of our earlier units that now we've completed our community, and we're turning those units to market with an 18%, 20% bump. That's an ungodly number to say, but it's reality. So is that sustainable? I'm fearful that the excitement and the level and threshold of the cost of doing deals today is only going to lead to some bad deals being done. Inevitably, that's bad for the business.